Welcome to the Bamboo Project YouTube channel. My name is Donivan Gray.
My name is Melissa Burnett. We have over 200 videos on our channel of our diet, travel, vlogs, sports, hair, makeup, skincare, podcasts, and everything us.
We currently live in New York City, and this is episode 7 of our wholesaling journey with no money. We are trying to avoid getting evicted.
This is going to be our journey on how we get our first deal. And we will tell you all the mistakes that we've made. We'll have all the phone calls. This episode is just going to be a recap of our week and what we experienced. Today is November 30th, and December 31st is actually when the moratorium ends. So we pretty much have until December 31st to get our first deal. What we've been working on recently is kind of like this new wholesaling regimen. Every day between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. we are very focused on making phone calls. That's the main goal between that time period. So I have the calls. The calls are going to be recorded and they're going to be posted on YouTube very soon. Some of the stuff that I'm talking about here, if you want to reference the actual calls that I'm talking about, you'll be able to see that. This week so far, I have made 6 offers. I made 6 offers on different properties. I've been looking in Atlanta, Georgia. I think Atlanta, Georgia has been my favorite place right now. I was also looking in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was not messing with what I was seeing over there. Cleveland and Cincinnati, I was not messing with it because it's too low for what Jerry is looking for the deals. The ARVs are low. I've never seen, they were selling houses for $1,000, $24,000. Like selling the houses for that much. You can't make any profit on that, especially if you have to fix the house up. I had a rule before that I would not look at houses that were distressed that are under $100,000, and I remember why I made that rule in the first place. I was not following by that yesterday, and it really messed me up for the day. I feel like I kind of wasted my day because of that. They would have the house listed for $70,000, and the ARV of that area would be about $70,000. So we haven't even fixed it up yet, and it's not gonna sell for more than $70,000 because there's no comps in the neighborhood that support that. I like the houses that I saw in Atlanta. I saw some interesting photos. Someone photoshopped curtains and photoshopped a mailbox, and not even like a real mailbox. It was like they put pic art?
An emoji.
It's like clip art. I made a huge mistake with my offers. I think I found 4 of my offers in Georgia, and then I had 2 in Ohio. I did find 2 in Cincinnati. Jerry has this software, a part of his program, that is Offer Generator Pro. Now, when you can make your offer there, put in the information, and then once you save it, you're able to download it and it'll make an offer for you. Now, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't want to have to keep re-putting in information in the thing. So I rather just use a document that I already filled out and then just change the location of the property and then change the state. So I was doing that, and I would just press download. I didn't save it first. I just pressed download, and I sent out 4 different contracts that did not have the property on the contract. Did not have the property on the contract. It was a completely different property in a completely different state that had I think it had a higher purchase. I had a higher buy price on the contract too than what I was gonna offer them. So that was a mess. So I had to resend the actual contract to them. And I feel like I'm kind of upset that happened, but it's not really a big deal because we're going to be submitting so many offers that it happens. So far, I already got 2 people telling me that they would not accept the offer that I sent out. And I'm still waiting to hear back about the other 4. One thing that I'm really focusing on right now is I have a problem with I don't want to make someone seem like they're wrong. So when I'm on the phone with the with the real estate agents, I'll say, okay, I think that this house, that they want me to buy this house at $100,000. I'll say to them, what I've seen in the area so far is that if I fix this house up, I think that it will go for about maybe 110 $100,000. Does that sound like about right to you? And oftentimes they'll say like, yes, that does sound about right, or yes, that's about the highest that'll go for this neighborhood. So I'll say that to kind of imply what I'm trying to say, but I'm realizing now that I can't just imply it. I have to actually say it. I have to actually say, well, you know, if the houses that are fixed up are going for $110,000 and your house is distressed and you're trying to sell it for $100,000, I'm not going to pay that, because I still have to pay for rehab costs and so on and so forth. And I feel like it's weird for me to try to kind of tell them that they're wrong about the price and still try to build a relationship with them. But I'm starting to realize the fact that you have that knowledge about the property and you're able to like kind of, because most of the time they'll agree with you and they'll say, yeah, I think that the price is up there, or yeah, you know, I try to tell them, but this is what they want. And it's like you kind of build a rapport that way with the agent, as opposed to me just not saying anything at all. So that's one thing that I'm really focusing on with the with going forward, and you'll see me doing that pretty much in the calls when they're posted. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
So one thing I want to point out from what Melissa just said, and it's actually on camera, so everybody recording can see exactly what I'm talking about. So when you just gave an example of what you do on the phone, this is what you said. Okay, so what she said as an example was to the person on the phone is the house in your area going for about maybe. Okay, that doesn't sound like a person that is serious about that price. They're like, I think it could be kind of, here's my thing. If Melissa's already done her homework and has checked the comps in the area, she knows the prices of the houses in the area. She knows it. She's done the research. She's done the work, and she sees that it says, okay, the houses in this area are going for $300,000 when they are renovated. So to say about maybe, it just makes it seem like she's unsure of what she's saying, even though she already knows what she's saying. So I think that either when she does something like that, it makes the other person feel like, okay, maybe she's not as confident in what she's saying. And I think when she says it like that, it makes her feel as confident about what she's saying herself to them. That's one thing I notice even right now. And you're not on the phone with anybody. And I'm like, there's nobody here. You say about maybe to.
I'm not sure why I speak like that. That's another thing too that I have to get rid of, the fillers. I think that, yeah, it's something I have to work on.
Yes. So that was something that we were talking about yesterday on you're gonna see during the live calls, because what we're doing for the next, I guess, 4 weeks for December. Some people would call it Vlogmas, right? It's not really Vlogmas, but it's our version of it. We're gonna try and post every day the calls that we make on YouTube. So we're gonna try and do 30 days of calls. Why? Jerry and somebody else that he did an interview with said, if you make 100 offers in a month, you're guaranteed to get an offer. They both agreed on that. I go, okay, if that's the case, fine. Me and Melissa will go out and try and do over 100 offers in a month, and we should get a deal. Now, we've done it 2 days in a row. Today will be our third day, and I think combined we've submitted. You did how many yesterday?
At total, I have 6.
Yesterday I submitted 7 offers and I made 9 phone calls.
That's just yesterday?
I made 9 phone calls yesterday. And the day before that I made 13 phone calls and I made maybe 2 or 3 offers. So I'm getting, I'm trying to get to at least 5 a day. I feel like that should be my goal or my bottom. At the high end, I want to do 15 offers a day. Now, an offer can be whether it be a verbal offer or a written offer. I prefer written offers, but I count a verbal offer if I know the price that I'm submitting is going to be very low. So if I say, hey, I want to offer a price that's 50% under what you're asking, and they say, no, we're not going to take it, to me, that's an offer. Because at the end of the day, when I'm doing it to build a rapport with the agent so that they can bring me deals outside of this current one. So that's what I go into it with. And it's been very helpful or successful because people are still bringing me deals. I have contacts with different agents. I haven't closed any of them, but I have to look at the numbers today from the phone calls that I got yesterday. Like I said, we're going to post that every day we're sitting down for about 5 hours a day and making phone calls.
And then I want you guys to tell me what differences you see between Donovan's phone calls and my phone calls. Because I think that is funny that whenever Donivan gets on the phone with a person, with an agent, they love telling Donivan everything he needs to do in order to get the property from A to Z and so on and so forth. They're very forthcoming with information. But when I get on the phone, that doesn't happen. We talked about why that doesn't happen. I tend to ask questions kind of like a script than actually having a conversation with them. So it's kind of like I'm asking a question, but there's no reason for me asking it other than I know I should ask that question. So I don't ask like follow-up questions, or I don't give input and stuff like that. So that's one thing that I'm going to be working on. But I'm also interested in seeing the differences that you guys catch as well.
Yeah. One thing that we've talked about with Melissa reading like a script in her mind or on paper is that the response that she will get from the agent may not be what she expected. If she asks them, what can you tell me about the property? And they go, what do you want to know? She goes and she'll say, what, does it have foundational issues? And that's what she always goes to, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, what's actually wrong with the property. So if you ask something like, the more things you can put on top of that foundational issue, the more it seems like you're asking questions because you really want to know about the property. So you can add foundation issues. You can say, I want to know, does the HVAC system, is it new? Is it old? Is the roof old or new? You can ask about any landscaping. You can ask about, are there any leaks or anything, any mold, things like that. So once you pile those things up, then the person goes, oh, okay, you actually really want to know about the property, not just asking me a question that you're reading from a piece of paper. And I think that when I do something like that, they tend to be more open with me because they go, okay, you want to know certain things about the property that could actually change how much you pay for this listing. That's how I go into it when I'm trying to get a deal. But again, I still have not closed one yet. I have a couple of contracts that I've gotten submitted, got accepted, and then I've gotten right up to the finish line and didn't get it. Speaking of the finish line, I talked about a property that I had in Philadelphia this is probably my third weekend or my fourth weekend. I had a property that was supposed to be closed. It's supposed to be done and finished. I took it to Jerry, which I've talked about in episode 5. I'll put it here, and episode 6. So episode 5 will be here and episode 6 will be over here, right? So the main thing with that was I was $5,000 off from the price that Jerry wanted to pay for the property. So as I said on here before, what I did was I talked to the agent and I said, hey, how about, I'll give you guys the numbers. Jerry wanted $135 for it, right? The owner of the property said, hey, I will do $140 if you pay the taxes, which comes out to $143,000. So I had to come up $8,000 from that price that Jerry said, but they were not willing to budge on the $135. So Jerry pays you $10,000. He would pay me $10,000 for that deal. So I decided, hey, I'll take my money and the agent will take less of his commission, and we can get this deal done at $140 with no taxes. I told him that, right? I told him that last week. He took about 5 days to respond to me, and he wrote me about 5 o'clock in the morning, and he said, no deal. They're not budging on that. I said, okay, fine. So I texted him back and I said, listen, I'll take the bigger hit on this deal. I'll put up $7,000 of my money. So I go from $135 to $142, and you pay the extra $1,000 to get to $143. That way I will still get my $4,000. And the reason it's $4,000 is because Jerry gives you back your $1,000 after your first deal. So I will still make $4,000 on my first deal, which is fine for the fact that I'm possibly going to get evicted soon. And any money is better than no money. And I'm looking at it as a long-term situation, because if he's in Philadelphia, the agent, then he can help me get other property. So I don't mind taking a hit on this on my first deal if it tells me that I can get more deals in the future. So I'm waiting for a response from that. But I wrote him that on Thursday. Today is Monday. I have not heard back from him. And I called him yesterday. No response back. So I'm going to text him again today to see what's going on with that. And that's going to be my last, my last reach out, because at this point I feel like the deal is dead. So I'm going to contact him as far as a text and say, hey, what's going on with it? But as I said earlier, I'm making phone calls every day. I'm doing 10 calls a day. So I'm going to have other people I'm talking to. Because I'm not acting out of desperation, then I don't really care as much about that deal, because it's already become wonky anyway. Things are going wrong. I have to keep going back and forth with people. There's a deadline, then there's the inspection period, then they already said no. And at that point, it's like, listen, we could just cut our ties and I can just move on to something else. As opposed to a couple of weeks ago when I was doing the deal, I had stopped looking at other deals because I wanted to understand what was wrong with this one. But now that I think today I submitted 7 contracts. No, I submitted 4 or 5 contracts yesterday, and I have one that's a strong contract right now. So that, we're gonna see what happens. The price that they said they wanted, I offered it, but the only issue that they're having is that they feel like I will back out of the deal once everything is done. They think that after the inspection period that I will probably back out. However, they do not want to negotiate during the inspection period if I find something that is wrong that they did not disclose to me. They also said that the inspection period is only for informational purposes only. So they do not want me to back out of the deal for the $90,000, and they don't want me to negotiate underneath that. So when I told them that, I wanted to reassure that's what they were saying. The agent said, okay, I'm going to go and talk to the seller. So we're going to see what they say about that. Another thing I want to talk about is our perspective on wholesaling, because I think that what a lot of people see on YouTube or just out there are people who have ties or connections to mentors, or even one thing that's really important is living in the area that you're wholesaling at. We live in New York. We don't wholesale in New York. So it makes it very difficult to wholesale out of state, because one thing I've run into is people say, hey, I don't want to do a deal with you because you can't see the property. I've heard people complain to me about not being able to come see the property. I've heard them say, hey, how are you going to do this deal if you're not here? How are you going to be able to do an inspection period if you can't come look at it? So it becomes an issue. A lot of people who are doing this who are trying to wholesale or want to wholesale don't have any money. So they're probably going to be doing it virtually, because it's the least amount of money you can spend. You may not have a car to travel around. A lot of people have a car who wholesale. You can drive around for dollars. You can't drive for dollars if you don't have a car to drive. You have to pay to rent a car. You can't do that. So one thing with us is, like I said, it's almost as if this is the grassroots version of trying to wholesale, because we have no money in. The only money that we had in would be the $1,000 that Melissa spent on getting information on how to do the wholesaling.
I don't think we really needed to pay the $1,000 to get the information. The $1,000 is more so just to be able to sell the deals directly to Jerry. So I think a lot of the information that was there.
I don't know.
And then he offers it for free too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree, because I feel like as far as the phone calls on Sunday, we can talk to somebody. We can talk to the people at Jerry's team and see what they think. And we can give them the deal, and the offer sheets and analyze. Like, we've learned stuff, I feel like, from the software that is not on YouTube, from actually running numbers ourselves through that software.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, so that's how I look at the benefit of it. But like I said, a lot of people listening or watching the videos, they want to get into wholesaling, but they don't know how. They don't have a mentor. They can't drive around to get money, and they don't live in an area that they feel like is good for wholesaling. Yeah. It's important to remember that when you're wholesaling and you're new and you're virtually doing it, there's going to be a steep learning curve. But the best thing to do is to actually do the work first. Let me not say that. The best thing to do is to get the information. That's the best thing to do. While you're doing that, you should be applying that information. A lot of people may just go out and say, okay, I'm going to just read and watch videos and listen to this person, but they never actually do the work. And for us, one thing I definitely want to make sure that we do with these videos is we just show you the actual journey of what it's like to be a wholesaler with no connections to wholesaling at all. I don't really plan to start selling boot camps or private lessons for wholesaling. I'm not a big wholesaler. I don't even have a deal yet, and I feel like people will charge you for their information, and they only done 1 or 2 or 3 deals. So I wanted to actually read some of the comments that I got on the last couple of videos. I just wanted to repeat them up here in case you did not see the comments, because some people have been asking different questions. So I wanted to just go over them here. We actually got a comment a second ago. Somebody said, I'm just starting. I'm about to buy the 10K club. Do I think it's worth it? I definitely think it's worth it to spend $1,000 on a 10K club. Like I said, you're going to get a lot of tools, and you actually get to talk to somebody who has done hundreds or thousands of deals in wholesaling, as opposed to 5 or 7 or 8 deals.
But I think the most important thing at the end of the day, though, is putting the work in too, and making sure you're making the phone calls and making sure that you're building the muscle. Because if you're not suited to like having conversations with people, like myself, the learning curve I feel like is a bit steeper, but it's definitely possible, and it gets easier with every phone call.
The more phone calls that you make, the less emotionally tied you are to each phone call. So you may feel bad about, your first or third phone call, but if you're already on 32 or 33, you don't remember how bad you felt on 1 and 2. So another comment I got was, is the software free? Jerry always says that. Is it true? A lot of the software is free. The 10K club is $1,000. He has different actual, I guess, clubs you want to call them. He has something called Flipster, which is $99 a month. That's not free, obviously, but he has a lot of different tools that are free on there. Some of them would be he has a comp tool that's free. He has a deal analyzer that's free. You can find different deals that's free, things like that. Like I said, I recommend the 10K club. Having the tools is definitely helpful. But if nobody shows you how to use the tools, it doesn't really, you have to learn by yourself. It's a lot harder to learn how to use tools by yourself with no instructions. So he has YouTube videos, obviously. And if you want to go and watch all the YouTube videos, you can do that if you don't want to spend $1,000. But you can actually talk to someone on the team and ask them specific questions about what you're going through, and they can help you immediately. So I think that's more valuable than having to watch different videos, because a video may have a question that you want to ask and you don't really get the answer to from the video.
The other benefit of the 10K club is the fact that you're able to submit it directly to Jerry. And the reason why I think that this is a huge benefit is because it takes care of half of the deal for you. So all you really have to do is find a deal that fits his criteria, which is not as easy as it sounds, but that's half of it. Because either way, you would have to find a deal that fits, and then have to try and find a buyer as well, which is a whole other process. So it's easier when you have someone directly to give it to that can check it out. And then let's say Jerry doesn't accept the deal, then you can go out and still kind of test out your skills and try to find a buyer outside.
There are hurdles in submitting the deal. He wants to verify and cross-check and make sure that the deals work for him. So I'm going to read some of the things that they have on there that you have to go through before you actually get the deal. There are like 4 steps, I believe.
And the cool thing about it too is that there's no limit to the amount of deals that you can submit. So it's not like you're forced to wait for like one deal at a time for them to respond to you. You can submit more than one. You can submit more than one at a time.
Okay, so you submit the deal to Jerry. You have to have a certain amount of comps for the deal once you submit it to him. It's 5 that you have to have. And once you submit it, if they accept it, then it says there are the following steps are the final review and approval. The final review and approval is once your deal passed the preliminary review, they will set up a webinar with you and your realtor to thoroughly examine and go through all the information you submitted. Your realtor will be required to get on MLS during the webinar as we watch on the screen. If the deal does not pass the final review, then we will let you know why, along with the steps you can take either on this deal or a future deal in order to get approval. I have not reached that step yet. I got all the way up to more or less passing the preliminary review. I was $5,000 off from passing the preliminary review. So that final review I have not reached yet, which I feel like will be another hurdle that I will be talking about on here when I do finally get to that point. Hopefully when I get there, it's very smooth. I'm just like, hey, here's the deal. They go, oh, we like it, and they accept it.
It never goes like that.
Yeah, right. It never goes like that. But that is the goal. It's probably I'm probably gonna get to that point. Make a video about it and be like, well, guys, listen, I'm pissed off again because I got all the way up to the final review and they said no because of the chandelier was the wrong color or something like that. And then I'll be talking about it 2 weeks later about how I finally got the deal because I learned what I did wrong and now I added it and then changed what I need to do. And then the final review and then the approval. The approval says all information for final review is submitted to Jerry or their staff to provide a final approval. Once you get this, we'll be providing you written documentation outlining next steps and confirmation of their plans to move forward in closing on this deal so you can get paid. So it's not easy to submit a deal if it's, let me not say that, because if you find a deal that they work with, I'm assuming they'll probably take it.
Yes.
And I think this is good for your beginners because you get kind of baby stepped all the way through your first deal. And then you can kind of branch out to doing it with other people and other investors and things like that, and having buyers and having a buyer's list. That's just my opinion on it.
I think it's funny because you'll see the difference between like our first week of calls and how much calls we make now. I think that first week, because we didn't really know what we were looking for, didn't know how much the rehab cost, didn't really know how to comp properties. We knew the idea behind it, but we didn't know how to do it effectively. So everything was a deal. Like, I found a deal. I found another deal. I found another deal. And then we're making phone calls. I'm like, we get on the phone. I'd like to buy this for $100,000. That's the first thing that we'd say. So it's kind of like the main goal that I think that we should have is really doing better than we did yesterday. And as long as you do better than you did yesterday, you're going to eventually get to the end. So like Donivan said, every single time there's a new hurdle to pass. But as long as you did better than the last time that you were at that hurdle, you're going to pass it. So.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put the video right here of our first live calls. we actually have a bunch of videos of us calling from week 1 to today's week 6 or 7. What I'm probably gonna do, because we're backlogged on that, is we're going to prioritize the videos that we're doing now every day, and sometime maybe if we have time during December or after that, we will add a playlist. We will add those videos to the playlist in order of where they happen. So you'll be able to see how we were making calls in week 2 and 3, and then in week 9 or 10 you can kind of compare them. Like I said, I'm gonna put them in the playlist. They'll be in order, so they may not be uploaded in order, but they will be in order in the playlist. So the last thing I want to talk about is PropStream. Like I said, I think PropStream is really good. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it a lot. I just paid the extra $30 because I wanted Melissa to use it because I was having it. But the issue was, if I'm using it and then she wants to get on it, then it shuts me off, and then she's using it and I can't get on, and then it's an issue, right? So the benefits of is $99 a month and $25 or I don't know, it was 20.
I think it was $25.
$25 to add a person to do the same thing that you're doing on PropStream. So the reasons why I like PropStream, there are a couple of main reasons why I like PropStream. The first one is comps. Yes. You can go and find comps in the area. They have a lot of information on the comps if you want to know the prices, because a lot of times they won't be on Zillow or Trulia or Redfin or Realtor.com or Zillow. They won't be on there. And not only that, you may also find pictures on PropStream that you will not find on the other apps. So that's a plus. They also categorize them by distance. You know if something was a cash buyer or not. Now that's become useful to me now, because when I make offers, I take that into account. I go, okay, what are people buying in this area cash and how much are they paying for it? So now that I can see that, I know where I should be at in my numbers, because if I'm going to wholesale this particular deal, I can wholesale to the people that already bought cash in the area. I was talking to an agent, and the agent said they have another listing that did not go public yet. So I said, okay, send that to me. And now she sent it to me. I actually found a cash buyer in that area who bought a property almost on the same block, all cash. So I'm like, okay, hey, I hit up the agent for that other property, and I said, does your investor want to buy something that I have on this block? It's not on market yet. What do you want to do? So I'm waiting back to hear from them. And if I can close that'd be great. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep moving. What else I like about PropStream? I don't really use PropStream for finding properties, only because we don't have that kind of money to be doing that. I don't want to keep skip tracing. I don't like skip tracing at all. I really dislike skip tracing because you're just throwing the fish out there. You're throwing a line out there hoping to catch a fish. It takes too long. Not too long. It does take too long to have to call all the people on that list and then to only get in touch with 1 or 2 people. It's annoying. I did it one day. I have it recorded, so I'll put that up somewhere. I just don't like skip tracing. When I get big enough as far as having a lot of people on staff, I will probably have that as an option with skip trace. But me personally, I dislike skip tracing. I just don't like doing that. So I don't look for my deals on there. And like I said, it's a lot of information on PropStream. You can find the bankruptcies, which is very helpful. You can find how much they owe for a mortgage, and that helps you to kind of get a buy price for what you're, offering to that particular listing. So those are the reasons that I like PropStream. So that was episode 7 of our wholesaling journey with no money and trying not to get evicted.
I like PropStream.
So
The reason why I like PropStream is because is because with the comping tool, you're able to select and deselect the comps that you're looking at, and I really like the fact that with the ones that you select, it gives you the price per square footage, the average price per square footage for those properties. So it takes less work off of me to try to figure out how much the square footage is going for that particular neighborhood, and it makes the whole process a lot easier. That's all I want to say.
You close up?
I like laying places
up. Okay, so that's episode 7 of the wholesaling journey. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's episode 7 of our wholesaling journey. Catch us next time in the next episode. You seem very annoyed.
I mean, you jumped in, and then I already closed us out, and then you only close out again after you could have just closed us out after you said it. So I'm like, nah, I gotta go back and close out again.
I mean, you didn't ask me if I had anything else to say before you closed out. You just closed out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, you don't be telling me you have nothing to say.
I mean.
So yeah, I guess I'll be like, hey, you want anything you want to say, and then I'll close us out.
That's what you normally do.
Yes, I'm saying I should have just asked if you had anything else to say.